Hey everybody, hope you're having an awesome day today. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing part 1 of the Inside the Chord series for my newest piece, Once Upon a Romance. And this is kind of, as I mentioned before, it's kind of like a depart from my usual typical style of kind of the uplifting Super Mario Galaxy, Nintendo, Disney kind of style. This is still somewhat Disney, but it also incorporates some more romantic elements and just a little more laid back. So let me get into it right now. And my usual approach was to kind of do, a pre-written theoretical analysis, but I thought this time I'd actually go live and write down, as we listen to it, and then we can discuss, what I'm thinking as we hear the music. And so hopefully you enjoy it, and let's get right into it. So let me just be very proper here and put down a title. We will be starting with the intro. And then it's going to get into the verse. I'm going to call it verse. You know what? I'll just call it section A. Then section B, I'm going to call the bridge. And then section A, I'm going to call section A prime. Just like that. Okay. And then we have the outro. So I'm also going to write down repeated because basically right now I'm outlining the structure of this piece. So it's intro, section A, bridge, section A prime, which basically kind of means that when the section A comes back, it's like a variation in some way. So there's a bit of a difference to it, and that keeps the interest level up, but mainly it's due to the instrumentation and the orchestration. So, and then finally we have the outro. All right, let's go. So the first two chords are basically an F sharp minor 7. Let's see. And then we have a do 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 do, which is basically a B minor 7. Now, basically what I'm doing is I have a, let's see. Yeah, so these two chords I'm basically doing, but the first chord, the F sharp minor 7, is in root position, but the B minor 7 is in inversion. So in that way, I can keep the voice leading very smooth, and really the only voice that's moving, or the most important one that's moving, is the very top note going from E to D, because this F sharp minor 7 contains the E, goes to the D, and it feels like the other notes are not moving in the chord. And because it's held by the strings, it's not very noticeable. So. All right, so again, we have kind of like a D major 7, and this 7th note is coming from the melody note in this case, and then we go to G major. All right, so let's hear that one more time. F sharp minor 7 to B minor 7, and then this restatement. So basically, it's going from F sharp to B. In a way, it's kind of like a 5 to 1. 5 to 1, and then another 5 to 1, D to G, but it's just a little bit lower. Right. Now we have a G major 7. Guess what? Instead of doing that, I'll just do an M like that. Yeah. Do G major 7, and that goes to E minor 7. And then here we have do 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 do. So it's kind of like, let's see, do 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 do. It's basically an E minor 7 again. So let's hear. And then we have there's our A7, which is A dominant 7 with a flat 9. And this is kind of the hopeful chord I talked about in the previous video, but as you can see here, I'm going from, and I should actually write down D major. I'm going from 4 major 7, going down to the 2, which then sinks, and you can hear in the bass, do 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 do, so it falls down to the dominant note, to the A7, but with a flat 9. So that's basically a B flat on top. And the reason I'm doing that is twofold. Number one, the chord becomes more hopeful that way, and it's a little bit more sad, but also the voice leading is very smooth, and the B flat really wants to resolve down to the A, which is basically the fifth of the tonic chord. So, do you hear that B flat there? All right. So now we're in the section A. So D major. Then we have E minor, 7. A major, D major, E minor. Now this is D major, but over F sharp. So far you notice. So I'll put the A a little closer to the E so you can see that those two chords happen kind of close to each other. So the D major kind of establishes our key. You know, I mean, if it hasn't already in the beginning, there isn't a really strong resolution until the section A begins. So if we listen to that again, so you hear the D major bed, right? Now it's going to rise up to the second degree. Then I do a quick 2-5-1, A to D. So this is 2-5-1. Now let me quickly mention that transition chord there. It's either a diminished chord or a dominant 7th chord. I'm not sure which, but you know, I'm just gonna write it down. So it's basically a B dominant 7. So I'm gonna write B7. And this is over D sharp. So the main function, aside from it transitioning smoothly and having an additional color, is for the bass to rise from D to D sharp to E. So, you know, it has a chromatic motion which leads very smoothly to the next chord. Let's hear. There we go. And before this D over F sharp, it goes to A major, so it's another 2-5-1. E, A. And now we expect to land on the D, but we do get to land on that chord, but it's in an inversion, so it's in the first inversion on the F sharp. Now it sinks down to not E minor, which is diatonic, but instead we go to E major. So that major color now invites us to be like, okay, that's interesting, you know, something else has happened, and what's going to happen next? And then I went with basically an F major chord. And the melody actually has the note D in it. So then it actually starts to sound like a D minor 7. In any case, the harmony is an F major, but the melody has a D in there. And then it rises up to G major and then to A major. And I believe it's A7 actually. So let's hear that one more time. Oops. Okay, so there's our A7 with the flat 9. D major. E minor 7. There we go. There's our 2-5-1 transition. Another 2-5-1, same as before. E minor, A major, D major. And now E major goes to F major. So this is the flat 3, and then I go to A major. And there we go. Now quickly about the melody. It begins with an octave interval. So octave beginning. And I've mentioned before that I try not to start too much on, you know, the first degree of the scale for the melody, just because it becomes too predictable and it feels like we've come home too early. So what I did in this case, instead of going do do, I actually went do do. So I went to the dominant note of the scale, and that kind of, you know, tells us that, okay, we've started not by hitting the tonic, but we have actually hit the dominant note. So we're probably going somewhere else after that, you know. So right here, the A. So I was very conscious of this fact when I was going do 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 do. I really was trying to avoid the subdominant note do. that G. I didn't want to hit a G, so I was doing A, B, F sharp, A. And the main reason is because the G would have kind of clashed with the D major chord I'm holding there. And I just think, you know, with a still opening like this, it makes sense to have your melody complement whatever harmonic stuff is going on. So in this case, it made sense to me. And I went up to the B, do, do, went down to F sharp to dip below the A, and then went back up to A. So do, 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 almost like a wave, kind of like musical imagery in a way. I think subconsciously that's kind of what I was going for. So, and then do, 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 do. So there we are. We're already expanding past just this mid range of the, or you know, lower range of the horn. So do, 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 do. So that F sharp is, and by the way, this A to F sharp interval is a major sixth. So it's a relatively large interval, and it's kind of like you're reaching somewhere. So, and this is not it. We're still going. So we actually got to that G, which is even higher. Set on the F sharp. And again, there's another case of, by the way, I'm here right now. Do, do, do. I hit the D major chord over F sharp, but my melody also landed on F sharp. Do, 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 do. And again, that's not the most stable tonic scale degree. I should land it on the third of the chord, right? So again, that helps us to maintain the momentum and not feel resolved too much. And then it goes up to E, and then strings take over. So let's write the chords. Should be a sharp. I think it's a minor seventh. These minor sevenths and stuff, they basically, and basically the minor sevenths and dominant sevenths added a color to the chord that doesn't necessarily change the tone that much. It just adds something else. It enhances the color, I think. Stuff like major sevenths and you know, augmented triads, those kinds of chords, they actually change the actual quality of the chord, and it makes it sound very, very different. But for, you know, dominant sevenths and diminished sevenths, they just make that chord even stronger. So let's see, where are we? F sharp minor. So B7, E minor, C7, F major, D minor. This one is actually a half diminished, a half dim 7. There we go. All right. So if we just compare what we had before, I wanted to harmonically make it more interesting. And so I wanted to have some kind of difference, right? So I started again with D major, and this is the repetition of the main theme. And now instead of going up to E minor 7, I actually wanted to go down to the flat 7. So it kind of drops down instead. Now it's like opening up, right? So now we go down to C major, fall to A major, which is the dominant, and so I already have that before. And now instead of going to D, resolving 5-1, I actually go 5 to 3, 5 down to 3, 3-7. And then I turn this F sharp into a 2-5-1. So F sharp to B to E minor. So now I'm treating the E as a temporary 1. So I precede that with a B7, which is the 5. And precede that with the 2, which is the F sharp minor. So kind of, you know, it all has an underlying function and a purpose. And again, these theoretical choices, I didn't choose based on the theory alone. You know, I was thinking what chord would sound nice and how do I want to approach this in the most natural way possible. So that's kind of what I was going for. And then at the E, so let's see. Okay, now I knew if I did and then A major to D major again, that's way too predictable. I've already done that once. I want to change it up. So then I went to C7 to F major, and this sounds, you know, surprising because we haven't heard this before. And F major and D major, which is the original key are quite unrelated. So D major has 2 sharps and F major has 1 flat. So, you know, we're on opposite sides of the circle of fifths, and the listener can tell that there's a new color being brought in. So after the E minor, I kind of wanted to show that this new 5-to-1 in a different key. E minor, C7 to F major, D minor. And now E flat is our flat 2 in D major. So I have to find a way to kind of align us back into where we originally were, but I didn't want to land back on D major right like at the very end to make it wrap up in a little bow and say, okay, the piece is finished, because it's not. There's more coming, right? So I go to, you know, F major to D minor, which is the 6th of F major. Then I go to E flat major, which is the flat 7 of F major, but also the flat 2 of D major. And now E flat major chord goes to A half diminished 7, E flat, now I think subconsciously I chose E flat to A half diminished 7th because E flat to A is a tritone or an augmented fourth, and this interval naturally has an uncomfortable feeling. E flat to A, so you know, we had a really nice, colorful, almost chocolatey chord here, and then the A half diminished 7 takes us away from that, and it's like transitioning in a way. Half diminished chords have kind of a transitional function, in my opinion. So it took us away from the E flat major, steered us away, and brought us to D7, which is which will turn into the dominant 7th of the bridge. So A now functions as the 2 chord of the D7. So A half diminished 7, D major is D7, now goes to G minor. Okay, so this is the chord progression here for the bridge. So far we have G minor to C major, C minor, F major to B flat major, and right now I'm just following the circle of fifths. G, C, F, B flat, E flat, and so I'm basically gonna keep going here. Now, however, you know, if I kept on following the circle, I would have went E flat to A flat, but I'm going for E flat to A half diminished 7, and I've already had this progression before. So I'm gonna put these all in one bracket. I like the circle of fifths. It's a predictable way. It's a predictable way to lead the audience to go somewhere. However, you know, used sparingly, it can be quite effective. So G minor to C minor, and then I lower this 5-to-1. So lower it a step, F to B flat, and then lowered it again to E flat, A, D, G. So more circle of fifths stuff going on there. And melodically, it's happening too. So B flat, A, B flat goes down to D, C. And the same thing happens here. A, G, A, C, D. So let's do that. Do, 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 do. Now notice here it goes from D, C, but the second time it goes from C, D, so it's just reversed. And so this first time it falls, it feels like we're leading somewhere. Second time it goes back up, so it feels like we've redone that action, and now it feels complete. And then G, G. Right there. So da 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 da, and again, that's the same thing as this one. It's just lowered down a step. And then I end up landing on the D, okay? Which is, again, D is in G minor, so it's a stable degree. And now we modulate. D minor, G major to C major. Again, another circle of fifths pattern. So A minor to D minor, G major to C major, and then to F. Again, circle of fifths. However, now I'm tired of circle of fifths. I want to move away from it, so I go down a half step to E. Now go up, back to F. Now it's F major. F, B flat 7, and it's gonna go to E flat major. So this F now becomes 2, B flat major, or B flat dominant 7 becomes 5, and E flat becomes 1. So now section A prime is in E flat major. And if you notice, I think, I'm not sure if I thought about this beforehand, but I wanted the repetition of the A section to obviously be higher than the first one, or at least feel more intense. And so not only did the instrumentation expand and become more full, but also I wanted the key to go up a little bit. And so from D to E flat major, it's just a half step, but it's far enough away, or the keys are unrelated. So it sounds very different. Again, that octave beginning. Flat, flat 7. All right, so E flat major goes down to flat 7 like I did here in the restatement of the theme. Two, flat 7, 5, 7 to 1. And then I went to another 5, 7 to 1, C7 to F minor. And then again, another circle of fifths pattern here. So C, F, B flat, E flat, that follows a circle of fifths. And again, I wanted to land on the inversion, just like up here. Where is it? Here. Right there. So over F sharp, here this is over G. And then I wanted to go to the 2-7. So F dominant 7. And then I wanted to, instead of just going F7 to B flat 7, so a straight 2-5-1, I wanted to have a transitional chord in there to kind of throw in a tinge of sadness before opening back up. So I had F7 and then A flat minor to kind of close it back up, and then B flat 7 to close it, to open it back up. So sounds like this. F7, A flat minor, and now. Okay, so let's walk through this. Now, again, this is the restatement of the theme, so I wanted to change it up. And there we go. E flat major, 2-5-1. So now I just wanted to visit a different key altogether, and looking at this now, I see why I chose G flat major. I think one, because I just love the color of G flat major or F sharp major, but also because you see E flat and G flat, they're actually relative if E flat is minor. So E flat minor, G flat major are related, and so I went from A flat, D flat to G flat, and this is basically a 2-5-1, and then I went back to A flat minor, did another 2-5-1. 2-5-1, but the melody now goes the opposite way. So it hits up and then goes up first, and now it goes up again. And now I have to ease back into E flat major. So I've departed and I visited another key. Now I'm pulling it back and drawing us back to where we originally started for this new section. 2-5-1, 2-5-1. Going from C minor to F major is kind of like 1 to 4, and when you go down from tonic down to your subdominant, it's actually an interval of a fifth. So you get, you know, a nice big weighty drop, and then it ends on F major, but then it eases into F minor again. So it's like we're repeating our 2-5-1 one more time. And then actually here, I'll write down the chords here. A flat major, so this is 4, but now I'm going to do minor 4, E flat major, and then same thing, I'm just repeating it one last time. And that's it. So 1, subdominant, 4, minor 4, 1, major 4, minor 4, tonic again. Cool. All right. So that's the piece, and yeah, I mean, harmonically, it is more complicated than, you know, the other pieces I've written, because I wanted to explore a little bit, have some fun with modulations, and just write something that really represents who I am right now as a person and as a musician. And hopefully this is kind of give you an insight into what my style is like right now. You know, there's so much more you could talk about. Like, I've mainly focused on harmonic choices here. I haven't really talked that much about melody or orchestration or anything. I mean, that's coming in the next video, but you know, theoretically, in terms of intervals or whatever, all this stuff can be dived into. But this video is kind of just to show you my thought process behind the harmonic stuff, because harmony is awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong, this piece was actually driven melodically. Like, I came up with the theme first, and I was thinking, you know, what chords could fit these, what chords could fit the melody notes, you know, the best, and what would maintain the interest. But the harmony is kind of what sells it as unique and interesting, and the orchestration as well, of course, lends itself to that as well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. This is part 1, so part 2 will be coming next week, and that's where we'll talk about the production and the instrumentation behind it, and, you know, the samples themselves. So that's the meat of everything. And then part 3, we'll talk about the mixing. So thanks so much for joining me on today's video, and I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.